Welcome to the Prophecy Club. Today we're going to be reading from benjaminfulford.net. But before we do, let me give you an overview so that you can understand even better what this guy is saying. Now, he's not a Christian. I've mentioned that many times. But I like what he says is because he's bringing information to me that I've heard from other sources is also true. But he's not a prophecy student, and sometimes he's saying things that confirm prophecy that, well, only a prophecy student would know is true. And I think it's really important. So first of all, a brief review. You recall, July the 10th, 2012, Pastor Shane Warren had a vision. Now, I'm not going to read all of it here. He essentially said that he saw a man in this vision pick up a fistful of dollar bills, saying it's raining dollar bills. It's almost like they're worthless. They're worthless. It was raining worthless dollars. Then it changed. I'll read just a sentence of it. He said, the New Madrid fault in the heartland of America has just had a major earthquake. Immediately following devastation was shown all over the heartland of America along the New Madrid fault as earthquakes caused entire cities to crumble. That's the second thing. The next thing, he saw a Middle East dream that said, we will buy oil with gold, and we'll change the way oil is trading using gold, and it will flush the market with dollars and drive the value of the dollar down. Remember that. Next, he said, I saw riots break out in major cities all across America. People were rioting, and their signs were saying, give us entitlements. Finally, he said, at the same time, meaning as the same time, worthless dollars, remember that, and then an earthquake, and then why the worth dollars, and then riots all across America at the same time. He said, I saw the church arise with healing in the wings for this moment. I saw God prospering, I'll say it again, prospering greatly many. Talking about Christians. God prospering greatly, many acquiring things in a great transfer of wealth coming to the hands of believers. Churches became cities of refuge. The body of Christ stood up like a mighty sleeping giant in the earth and began to minister. People were coming to them, signs, wonders, miracles poured out all over America. I saw America being shaken as the worldly could no longer go to the government for help. They had to return to the church. Then Terry Bennett was told there would be a change in the U.S. currency. This is all going to relate here in just a second. Try to remember it. A different currency is going to come, at least one, that will entail the United States no longer being the reserve currency of the world. He says, I saw in the governmental area will go through a dramatic change in our government, and there will be a time of anarchy and chaos. That's two people now, and there's actually many people that have said many of the things I'm saying today. For a while, we'll have a fractional government, which means our government will come down to the state level. The military will step in, seize control of our federal government. You'd call it a coup, but in all honesty, it will be to help our nation. And I think that's the 112,300 people that now have sealed indictments all being rounded up. And we are believing that that's coming very soon. As a matter of fact, about, 3 or 4 weeks ago, Sean Hannity looked right into the camera, raised his eyebrows, and said, I have it from a very high source that justice will be served this fall. And the way I read between the lines on that, he's talking about those arrests. Well, see, that's all part of it. That's all part of it. All right, now let's get to what Benjamin Fulford said. August 26th, 2019, headline, Pentagon plans to deport Zionists as global financial reset looms. Now remember, the uninformed public doesn't understand that some of the people that call themselves Jews are not Jews, but do lie, but are the synagogue of Satan, says 2 verses in Revelation. I've already covered that, so we'll move on. But remember, when people are saying that there's a bunch of evil Israelites, not true. I mean, I'm not saying they're all righteous. I'm saying the evil international bankers, the deep state, the Khazarian Mafia, those are not Jews. Those are the ones that say they are Jews, but they're not. But they are the synagogue of Satan. So remember, when he's referring to the Zionists, he's not talking about Israel. Well, there may be some there. I mean, they're around the globe. But he's not talking about the sons of Israel. You understand? All right, let's go on. He says the U.S. military-industrial complex is making serious moves against Zionists. Now, I believe the U.S. military-industrial complex is mostly the Marines, mostly headed up and run by Trump, and that's the folks that are planning on arresting 112,300 people here, possibly in the next few months, possibly this year. Anyway, let's go on. Preparing to expel many of them to a Jewish autonomous zone in Siberia, Pentagon sources say. Well, that's the arrest of 112,000. Now, I hadn't heard that they're going to stick them off in Siberia, but that'd be fine by me. Just get them so they can't do any more evil. While the Pentagon and its allies are quite eager to take on Zionist control, even the central bankers and G7 leaders meeting last week in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, and Biarritz, France, admit that an economic paradigm shift is needed. I'll say it again. They admit that an economic paradigm shift is needed. What's that? That's the new financial order that he's been talking about and others have been talking about, called the quantum financial network. Let's go on. These moves are related to talk of a global financial reset. I'll say it again. Global financial reset that would end Zionist control of privately owned central banks. If you understood how important that was, you would be like grabbing your seat saying, really? Really? Is this really happening? Yeah, look, let me put it in common words here, and let me give you a disclaimer first. This is not me saying it. All I'm doing is interpreting what other people have said in light of Bible prophecy and in light of the modern prophecies. All right? So it's not me saying this. I'm just repeating what others have said. What it's saying is, brothers and sisters, that there's about to be a new financial system. We've read that from other people. A new financial system called a quantum financial network. That's what others are saying. And this new network is going to be kicking out the old evil Jews that say they're Jews but are not, but do lie, but they are the synagogue of Satan, meaning the international bankers, meaning a lot of people in very, very high places. They're not just bankers. I mean, they're in government, they're in military, they're all over. So these evil people, what the world is trying to do is the good guys that came to Trump and asked him to run to be president and helped him, you call it Q and some others, those good guys are trying to clean up our nation. That's a good thing. Let's go on. A whole slew of establishment bigwigs are all now publicly calling for a financial reset. These include the IMF head, Christine Lagarde, Russian President Vladimir Putin, Chinese President Xi Jinping, the Rothschilds owns economists, and others. Do you understand what you just heard? You're talking about the world. The top people of the world are calling for a new financial system. They're trying to kick out the old bad guys, and they're trying to bring in a new good financial system, and it may be in the beginning, but we prophecy students know that the time is going to come that no man can buy or sell save he had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. And rest assured, the beast will also take over this new system. But for right now, hopefully, it's going to be good. Let's go on. They have called for replacing the U.S. dollar with a new international currency. Look, that was told to Terry Bennett back in 2010, brothers and sisters. And here it is. Now they're talking about it in the news that purports to be ahead of the news. But prophecy students, well, we knew it 9 years ago, okay? Or at least Terry Bennett did. Such a currency, almost by definition, would fall out of Zionist control because the interests of the world economy and of those of the Zionist-controlled corporate U.S. government are in conflict, meaning that the good guys are trying to kick out the bad guys. The military-industrial complex, which is probably the guys that are known as Q and are backing up Trump, they're trying to remove these 112,000 bad guys. Let's go on. The trade war is a front for the global currency reset. Let's read it again. The trade war is a front for the global currency reset, Pentagon sources confirm. U.S. President Donald Trump has been calling the CEOs of J.P. Morgan, Chase Bank, Bank of America, Citigroup, and others to gain support for his stance on the trade war, sources say. The cancellation of J.P. Morgan Chase of all credit card debt in Canada, the implosion of the Deutsche Bank, the General Electric fraud exposure, the yuan devaluation, and the gold-backed dollar were all a part of the ongoing horse trading for the new financial system, they say. However, much Trump blusters and makes calls, though the numbers make it clear that the new system will take power away from the United States. Look, this is so earth-shaking important. If you can just grab on to what's being said here, this is monumental. This is a new financial system, a new currency system, and it's going to take power away from you. I'll read it again. However, much Trump blusters and makes calls, though the numbers make it clear that the new system will take power away from the United States. Power away from the United States. The United States now accounts for 10% of world trade, but over 70% of the global GDP uses the U.S. dollar as an anchor currency. That's what we call a reserve currency. As an anchor currency, according to the Bank of England. This makes it obvious that any global currency reset would take huge power away from the U.S. corporation. Well, what did Bennett say? He said we're getting a new currency. And what did Shane Warren say? He said the dollar's going to be blowing in the wind, worthless as leaves. It's not a joke. It's here. It's here. Some say it's supposed to be here any day. We'll see. Anyway, let's go on. Trump admitted last week that he might, quote, declare a national emergency. Well, duh. I've been talking about that's exactly what he's going to declare, and I said he would most likely use the emergency alert system or the Amber Alert system, same thing, where you get a little buzzing on your phone and it says some kind of alert. Look out, there's somebody that's stolen a little child, or there's a vehicle stolen. You know what I'm saying. You've had them. But that would also be a wonderful way to announce a national emergency, which is kind of like serving a warrant to America saying, I have declared a national emergency. Again, I believe it was delayed over the Kavanaugh, the hearings, those things. All right, let's go on here. Trump admitted last week that he might declare a national emergency over the issue because we have a total loss of almost $1 trillion a year for many years. And this gives the place where you can go read more about it, but we're not going there. This is the closest any sitting U.S. president has come to publicly declaring American bankruptcy. Let that sink in a minute. I read that again. This is the closest any sitting U.S. president has come to basically admitting that America is about to have to declare bankruptcy. Well, again, that's what these other guys, that's what they've been saying. They've been saying, look, they're doing away with the dollar. They're going to come out with a new currency. That's what Terry Bennett said. Okay, and it's not going to be the reserve currency anymore. Look, we've known this for 10 years. That's the reason, being a prophecy student, listening to the people that God speaks to, we know more than the news. This guy thinks he's coming out with some, brand new. No, we've had this on the air for, 9 years, 10 years. We've known it's coming because we know our Bible prophecy and because we listen to the modern prophets. We knew this was coming. I've been telling you for a long time. All right, let's go on. Other Trump statements and actions all point to some existential crisis. In other words, we're talking about something that could be a major meltdown unless it's corrected. He has tried to take over Greenland and its resources, charge allies for full costs of U.S. military bases, quote, plus 50%, and put tariffs on everything Chinese, all because of this impending default. Multiple sources agree. You got that? In other words, there's a war going on behind the scenes where the good guys are trying to kick out the bad guys, and the bad guys for over 300 years, the Khazarian Mafia, the deep state, the international bankers, whatever you want to call them, those people have been controlling the world's financial system, and they're trying to kick them out. And there's a lot of things. There's war going on in the world of finances right now. Let's go on. U.S. military is preparing for the ongoing big changes by putting the Army in overall charge of the military, while Navy takes control of the various intelligence agencies, Pentagon sources say. Let me read that one again. That's a big one. The U.S. military. Now, my guess is that's probably mostly the Marines, because the Marines are called the president's own. In other words, They are kind of his own personal private army that he can order around as he pleases, so says the Marines. The U.S. military is preparing for the ongoing big changes by putting the Army in overall charge of the military, while the Navy takes over control of the various intelligence agencies. Why are they doing that, brothers and sisters? Because there's about to be 112,300 people arrested. There's about to be a coup, but it'll be a coup in reverse. It'll be the good guys kicking out the bad guys. This means the new head of the U.S. intelligence agencies would be former Navy SEAL Vice Admiral Joe McGuire, the new director of national intelligence, according to Pentagon sources. McGuire takes over after the firing of, quote, not just deep state shill ex-Senator Dan Coates, but also his deputy, parenthesis, former CIA Director John Brennan, CIA lackey Sue Gordon says. The de facto U.S. military government, quote, declared war on the Jewish Mafia on their saddest day, that's Tish B'Av, the sources say. Documents related, now again, see, these are the Jews that say they're Jews, but they're not really Jews. They're not really sons of Israel, but they say that they are, and it, of course, is to cover up who they really are and to give Israel a very bad name. Documents related to pedophile blackmailer Jeffrey Epstein are unsealed on August 9th, and, quote, he was suicided on August 10th to fast-track the prosecution of others since all evidence is now admissible without any court challenge, Pentagon sources say. Now, let me just give you a disclaimer here. I do not know for sure that one word of what he is saying is accurate, but I will tell you that much of what he is saying has been confirmed in the mouth of other people through their articles and things like that. So what I'm reading to you, it has a high probability it is accurate. Let's go on, though. The first temple that was destroyed in 586 BC, the second temple destroyed in 70 AD, the 1290 expulsion from England, the 1492 expulsion from Spain, and now the termination of Zionism on Tish B'Av may lead to forced transfers to the Jewish autonomous zone in the Russian Far East as Jews receive karmic justice for their centuries of anti-Goy perfidy. And I think he's just trying to say that he didn't understand that not all Jews that call themselves Jews are really Jews. And so he's trying to blame it on the Jews. I'm telling you, these are not the Jews. These are not the sons of Israel. These are the Zionists that call themselves Jews. These are your Khazarian Mafia, your deep state, your international bankers. These are the people that originally came out of Western Turkey and Western Russia, up in that area. They're not Jews. And they are famous for changing their name and moving, and they're always trying to point fingers and blame it on the good guys, the Jews, the real Jews. The sources add, Epstein is apparently a military operative who may have been exfiltrated to eradicate Mossad blackmail operations in the West, the Zionist parasites. The mega group AIPAC and the entire Israeli Fifth Column, I don't exactly understand what he's talking about there, but we're going to keep on reading. In a victory lap to Satanists and Zionists, Epstein, quote, died at 66 years, 6 months, and 22 days, which is 66.6 years at 6 a.m. on the Jewish day of mourning. The sources continue. Assuming that's true. August 10th is also the 70th birthday of the Department of Defense, which swept Epstein Island with multispectral satellites to prosecute homicidal, pedophilia, and other heinous crimes, they say. The sources also say that Trump cleverly forced Bibi, that's the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, to Muslim ban Congresswoman Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib, exposing Israel as an oppressive state, fracturing bipartisan support while boosting the BDS, that's the boycott, divestment, and sanctions movement against Israel. Let me skip on down. Trump's declaring both Chinese President Xi Jinping and Fed Chairman Jerome Powell as to be, quote, enemies, makes it pretty clear that the bankruptcy of the U.S. is leading to both anti-Zionism and anti-Chinese reactions. However, the real problem is not so simple. Let me remind you, What Dmitry was told is the fall of America will start with an internal revolution, started by the communists. Some of the people will start fighting against the government. The government will be busy with internal problems. Then from the oceans, Russia, Cuba, Nicaragua, Central America, Mexico, and two other countries will attack and defeat America in 1 day and 1 hour. So great riches will come to naught. Then God will raise up China and Japan and many other nations. They'll go against the Russians. They'll defeat the Russians. They'll back the Russians at the gates of Paris where they sign a peace treaty. But what I want you to notice in that is God raises up China and Japan, meaning China and Japan are going to be going against Russia. So these people that say China is the problem, no, China's not the problem. China's part of the solution. The problem is Russia, and the real problem is sins in the church. That's the real problem. Now let's go on. Bank of England Governor Mark Carney made this clear in a very interesting speech to his fellow central bankers last week. According to Carney, there are, quote, deep flaws in the International Monetary Financial System, IMFS, caused largely by, quote, destabilizing asymmetry at the heart of the IMFS, the U.S. dollar. The U.S. now accounts for 10% of the world trade and 15% of the world gross domestic product. But, quote, the dollar serves as the monetary anchor in countries accounting for 2/3 of the global GDP and over 70% of the world GDP. Emerging market economies, who are largely excluded from management of the IMFs, now make up 60% of the global GDP and will account for 75% by 2030. He says, their exclusion from control of the financial system, this is important, their exclusion from the control of the financial system slows down economic growth for 5/6 of the world economy. So what they're doing is trying to say, we got to replace the dollar. We got to bring in a new financial system. And that would be the global financial network. Remember, I've talked about that. Right now, they have 9 satellites that have been operating in the background for about a year now, and they're planning on doing a switcheroo, kind of like overnight. And my guess is that there might not even be much of an announcement. If there is an announcement at all, that's just a guess. I don't know. Let's go on. So what does this really say? It's saying that the prophecies given to Pastor Shane Warren and Terry Bennett are right on. Now, let me refresh your memory again, now that you understand what he's saying. He says in the first part of it, he saw worthless dollars. Then he saw that was linked to a giant earthquake down the center of the country, which is linked to a worthless currency caused by selling oil for gold and gold for oil. Then an internal revolution would start. And when the judgment hits, then there's rising with the church wings for this moment, God prospering greatly, many people acquiring things in a transfer of wealth, coming to the hands of believers. Churches became cities of refuge. Great miracles begin to break out. And now let's go to what Terry Bennett said again. There will be a change in the U.S. currency. A different currency is going to come, at least one. Then he's skipping on down. So the government will change and go through a dramatic change in the government. A time of anarchy, chaos, fractional government come down to the state level, military has to step in, seize control of the federal government. Now, I don't know about you, but that sounds to me like we're real close to that right here today. So let me take a second. I want to reach out in a personal invitation to every one of you. If you want to be a part of winning a lot of souls, if you want to help fill up the kingdom, then I suggest you make arrangements by going to endtimesconference.com to be at this Evansville conference October 4, 5, and 6. And the primary reason is I want to lay hands on you. I want to anoint you with oil, and I'm going to pray 2 things. I'm going to pray that you get the spirit of revelation and the spirit to walk in 7-fold miracles when these things start happening. You have been called of God to serve. You're not listening to the Prophecy Club because you just love to get yourself all down and depressed. You're listening to this because God has called you to listen to this. He's got a call in your life to serve and to build the kingdom of God, and I'm called to build up an end-time army of prophecy teachers working miracles. I want you to be at the End Time Conference, October 4, 5, and 6, so we can get you anointed to serve when these things come to pass. If you like Prophecy Club, if it is one of your ministries that you support, if you feel like we're doing the right thing, then would you consider sending us a donation? It's summertime, and man, our donations have dropped just down to almost nothing. So if you could help us right now, it would really be appreciated. prophecyclub.com. Thank you, and God bless. The summer blowout is now in effect. This amazing offer is only offered for a brief time each summer. Right now, you can get 50 DVDs for a gift of $250. That's $5 each. 25 for $160, $640 each. 15 for $120, $8 each. 10 for $100, $10 each. 6 for $70, $11.60 each. 4 for $50, $12.50 each. Or 2 for $30, obviously $15 each. A single DVD is a gift of $30. See the selection of over 230 DVDs at prophecyclub.com bookstore, or download our catalog. Note your selections, but you have to call our office 785-266-1112 to place your order. You have to call 785-266-1112, and this is probably going to be the last summer we make this offer. prophecyclub.com, 785-266-1112. prophecyclub.com, 785-266-1112. 785-266-1112. This offer expires the end of August. October 4, 5, and 6, it's the Understanding End Times Conference, Living Word Fellowship, 1051 Riverside Drive in Evansville, Indiana. Friday evening, 6:30, I'll speak on my 7 seals, 7 trumpets, 7 vials chart. Saturday morning, 10 a.m., I'll speak on my Feast and Revelation Prophecies chart. Saturday evening, 5 p.m., Leslie will speak on the Kundalini Spirit. Sunday morning at 10 a.m., I'll take half the time with Miss the Mark, my new book, and Leslie will take the rest of it. As you know, I'm called to build an end-time army of prophecy teachers working miracles. I want you to come so I can lay hands on you and anoint you for you to receive 2 anointings. The spirit of revelation as I received it when I memorized the book of Revelation. 2, to work in 7-fold miracles when the judgment arrives. The room only holds 350 people, and the church is probably going to take from 100 to 150 of them, so it will fill quickly. I suggest you do the $25 registration quickly at endtimesconference.com. $25 registration at endtimesconference.com. October 4, 5, and 6, Understanding End Times Conference, Living Word Fellowship, Evansville, Indiana. See you there! In 2017, I memorized the book of Revelation just as a simple project. God showed me a secret door, which is based upon a single word found in Revelation and Leviticus, linking the feasts to the prophecies. When linked, a person enters into an understanding of Bible prophecy not previously known. Even though I've been in the world of Bible prophecy for 40 years, frankly, I did not know anything of what is in this book. One prophetic word described it this way: there is a lock that I have put over a word in the book of Revelation that I'm going to open to you. It will turn so many books written on the end time message into obsolete books. That's this book. 2 amazing prophecy charts on the back flap, 12 inches by 9 inches. Imagine a book on prophecy that brings a fresh, new, accurate perspective. I don't want you to get one book for $20. I want you to get 5 books for $30 or 10 for $55. It's called The Secret Door to Understand Bible Prophecy, available at prophecyclub.com. The Secret Door to Understand Bible Prophecy. 1 for $20. No, don't do that. You want to get 5 for $30, or the best deal, 10 for $55. prophecyclub.com. At watchprophecyclub.com, you can have instant access to over 200 titles on a recurring monthly subscription of $20 or yearly for $200 at watchprophecyclub.com. That's $6,000 worth of information at watchprophecyclub.com. That's watchprophecyclub.com. What a deal.